on his behalf. Listen to this.
Oh, that's a different situation. I'm just going to kind of sit back and let it all unfold how it is. I think Drake's best pitcher in baseball right now. I think he deserves whatever amount he's worth. I think, I want him to keep him happy. So when it does come time for him to reach free agency, he stays on our side, pitching for the Mets. I think they should quit all this fuss and pay the man already.
Amen, brother. Amen. And it's beautiful to hear a teammate coming to his defense. It's one thing to do it for a contemporary that's not on your team, because obviously you want players to get taken care of, et cetera, and that can mean more for you down the road. But this is Noah Syndergaard. And it's one of those situations where if you're playing for the Mets, if one person gets paid, it might force you not to get paid. You never know. And I don't have Noah Syndergaard's contract situation in front of me, but that's not the point. The fact of the matter is, when you got a stud like Jacob deGrom, you pay him. You pay him. This is why the Nets have spent the vast majority of their franchise history stinking up the joint. Once again, other than Jacob deGrom, you know that you're a pathetic franchise when all you've got is Don Juan LaGreca. And I don't say that to knock Don. That's my buddy, my brother. I love him. I'm just saying he's not playing. He's a commentator. I mean, John, I'm not playing, John. I'm saying it's a legitimate argument that can be made that the only thing relevant about the Mets, other than Jacob deGrom pitching for them, is that Don Juan LaGreca is a big fan of this. That's it. Michael K's co-host, 98.7 FM. For those of you throughout this country that might not know who the great Don Juan LaGreca is, you should know. Mr. Hockey. Also an incredible, knowledgeable Mets fan. Contaminating himself and his life rooting for this pathetic franchise. You gotta be kidding me. The hell you think you are not to take care of Jacob deGrom? Pox on your damn house. Pay him. Back to the land of the living. Rob Gronkowski, New England Patriots. He has decided to call it quits. For those of you who do not know, Rob Gronkowski, three-time Super Bowl champion, in some people's eyes, the greatest tight end to have ever played football. We know about those 81 receptions. I think it was like 81 receptions, like 12 touchdowns in his postseason career. Career cut too short at age 29, thinking about his health. Knee injuries, elbow injuries, back injuries, etc. The punishment that he has had to absorb, the things that he has been subjected to. He's decided to call it a career. Drew Rosenhaus, his agent, who did a fabulous job with Antonio Brown, by the way, said that Rob definitely could end up playing again. He wouldn't rule it out, but he has officially retired, etc., etc. I would tell you, the bottom line is simple. Rob Gronkowski has had so many injuries in his career. You can't blame him. He's retiring after 9 seasons, 79 receptions, third most in NFL history, before age 30, trailing only Jerry Rice and Randy Moss. Also keep in mind that Rob Gronkowski, when he does go into the Hall of Fame, might be one of the top 3 youngest guys in the history of the sport to go in the Hall of Fame. I think behind Jim Brown and one other guy who I don't remember at this particular moment in time. Let me say this. This discussion as to whether or not Rob Gronkowski is the best tight end to have ever played football, it's a worthy discussion, warranted by his multifaceted skill set. You can put him on either side of the line of scrimmage at the tight end spot. You can put him as a wideout. You can ask him to run rights in between the seams or outside the numbers. You can have him running in motion out of the backfield. And obviously, he was a highly successful and exceptional blocker. He welcomed the challenge of assisting the offensive line in blocking to facilitate a better running game. It's not an accident why James White and others for the New England Patriots performed well when Rob Gronkowski was on the field, and why they had a prolific running attack in New England. Sony Michel and all of those boys, because Rob Gronkowski was one of those dudes blocking at the line of scrimmage. The guy is sensational. There's no question about it. Here's my issue, ladies and gentlemen. I am in no position to sit up there and tell you that he should be considered a better tight end than Tony Gonzalez. I'm in no position to do that. If you really, really look at it and you see what Rob Gronkowski brings to the table, over 700 receptions, well, Tony Gonzalez has damn near triple that amount. You look at Rob Gronkowski, over 7,000 yards receiving. Tony Gonzalez over 15,000 yards. I'm looking at a guy like Rob Gronkowski who's had Tom Brady throwing the football to him his entire career. We look at Tony Gonzalez. Yeah, Rich Gannon, Trent Green, Damon Heward, Elvis Gerback. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, a legitimate argument could be made, and Rich Gannon once could ball until he was beyond his prime. But a legitimate argument could be made. Tony Gonzalez didn't have a real quarterback throwing him the football until he got to Atlanta when Matt Ryan was there. A legitimate argument could be made at that. I mean, that's just the truth. So when you try to compare him, if you want to do like this, let me tell you the greatest argument that you can make for Rob Gronkowski being in the discussion for the greatest quarterback. First of all, there is no argument. He's clearly in the discussion. The question is whether or not he's the greatest ever. Ozzie Newsome, Shannon Sharp, Tony Gonzalez, etc. I mean, it's some choices to pick from. John Mackey back in the day. I mean, there's choices to pick from. But the bottom line is this. When you look at it from the standpoint of Rob Gronkowski, here's the greatest argument you can make. Using a basketball analogy, he's the Bill Walton of football. Bill Walton only played 10 years in the NBA. The last two didn't really count. The first four really, really counted when he got at the Portland Trailblazers to an NBA championship after they were down 2-0 to Dr. J. Julius Erving and those boys in Philadelphia in the 77 NBA Finals, and then Walton took over. Here's the reality. Bill Walton never averaged more than 18 points a game in his professional career. Last two seasons, he's averaged around 7. Bill Walton didn't play half the years Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played. Nearly half the years is Wilt Chamberlain. But Bill Walton, there is no way that you could talk about the great, great centers in the history of the NBA. From Mikan to Chamberlain and Jabbar to Lanier and Artis Gilmore to Shaq and some of those guys weren't great. They were good, but they weren't great. But the great ones like Shaq and these boys. Bill Walton's in the discussion of greatness. Of course, we can't forget the ultimate champion and Bill Russell. Bill Walton is in the discussion as one of the greatest because his skill set was so surreal. You looked at him and all you saw were injuries in his way. There was no question based on how he performed on the court when healthy, even in pivotal situations, of his greatness. It's just that the tenure wasn't long enough because he was saddled with injuries. That's the same thing you can say about Rob Gronkowski. But that's about it. 888-SAY-ESPN is the number to call. It's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Whole bunch of stuff to get into, and I'm not going anywhere. It's just me and y'all today. I want to talk to my listeners, so I'm here all day long until 3 o'clock anyway, in the next 2 hours. Don't touch that dial. It's Stephen A. right here on ESPN Radio and ESPN News, by the way. Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage in America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. If you haven't tried the delicious high-quality meat from Butcher Box, guess what? You're going to be blown away. Butcher Box brings you the meat the way it's meant to be so you can get all of the benefits you're supposed to get. Unbelievable flavor, and unparalleled nutrition. They work closely with the best farms and companies committed to raising animals humanely. And that's very, very important, people, especially the God-fearing individuals such as myself. From grass-fed beef to free-range organic chicken to wild-caught sockeye salmon from Bristol Bay, Alaska, ButcherBox has over 20 different cuts of meat to choose from customizable boxes and a variety of options to choose from. And ButcherBox comes at an affordable price as well. With free shipping, you can get a month's worth of the best tasting meat from ButcherBox for less than $6 a meal. Now think about that for a second, ladies and gentlemen. A month's worth of best tasting meat, free shipping for less than $6 a meal. Think about how much money you spend on nonsense. And now here you are in a position to spend money, feasibly so, on good, healthy, wholesome meat. Think about that. ButcherBox is offering my listeners free ground beef for the life of your subscription and $20 off your first box when you sign up at butcherbox.com/Stephen A. Don't miss out on this special offer at butcherbox.com/Stephen A. That's butcherbox.com/Stephen A. That's with a PH, not a V.